Hey everyone, today we're going to dive into the 6th episode of the Kill 'Em All series. Today we're going to take a look at Phantom Lord on rhythm guitar. Now who is the Phantom Lord? Is it me? Is it you? I think it's got to be you. Let's check this out. The very beginning of Phantom Lord begins with something that's not even a guitar, but I'm going to show you how to play it anyway. It's actually a synthesizer, a bass synthesizer going at the beginning. If you want to replicate that tone, you have one of two options. You can hit the open A string and do a volume swell with your volume knob it up, like that. I apologize for that fraudulent intro. Let's get on to the real intro of what happens during Phantom Lord. So this might be the only prog rock section of the song. And yes, Metallica is engaging in prog rock in its early stages of life. So let's check out what's happening here. So it's actually very simple. It's just the timing is a little bit weird. So we're going to look at the time signatures and we're going to look at the rhythms that they're playing to get there. So it starts off with an A5 power chord, right? Hitting along with the rest of the members of the band. So we go like this. There isn't very much to say about what's happening here, except that there is some tricky rhythm. So let's just play along with the part and let's count out the rhythms as they happen. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, B, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and boom. So all you really have to do is watch out for that time change. There's a measure of 3/4 that happens in the middle of that whole thing. The transition from the A to the B chord is a measure of 3/4. So it basically plays the same pattern for both chords, except they add that little transition in there. That's pretty proggy. The main riff of the song is pretty thrashy, and I describe thrash as sort of a, at least in this context, if the punk rock guys actually learned how to play their instruments. Anyway, here's what we're going to take a look at. So it starts off on a D power chord, 2 fingers, 5th fret on the A, 7th on the D, and you go up 2 frets from there. So that's where it starts, and after that we have this little. So basically all that's happening is I'm alternating between my pinky on the 9th fret on this E5 and taking it off to give way for the bar. So, alright, and that's kind of the foundation of the beginning here. If you can get that part, that's probably the hardest part. And then we head up to this G-A. High power chords, right? So we're not dealing with low stuff here. We're dealing with stuff that's a little bit in the stratosphere, if you know what I mean. Anyway. So it goes like this. D-E with the back and forth, another hit on E, and then G-A. Immediately following that we go. So you do the same exact thing on the second half, but you just play a simpler ending coming back to the D where you started. One other thing to mention about this riff is with the pointer finger. Now your pointer finger, I would keep it barred the entire time. And even across the 3 strings when you reach the G. There it just makes it a little bit easier to access that. So take a look. my pointer is staying on the A string as I transition to the higher chords. So even though I'm going to two separate strings for the power chords, I'm keeping my pointer down on the A string. But I'm only playing the two strings as I ascend. So after we finish the build off with the intro riff, and once the drums come in and give it a little bit of time to heat up, the verse riff comes in with just a simple power chord progression. So we're going A, 5 for 4 counts, 1, 2, 3, 4, C for 2, and then a triplet rhythm between B and G. So let's take a look at the frets. Open A, 2, 3, 4, C at the 3rd fret, 1, 2, B at the 2nd fret, G at the 3rd of the E. Okay? So let's take a look at full speed here. 1, 2, and then we go back into the riff. Twice. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, C. Dun, dun, dun. And that's about all there is to it. Let's move on to the chorus. So let's take a look at that chorus section. So basically all that's happening is we have 3 operational chords. A, power chord, G, power chord, on the 3rd fret of the E, A, power chord, back to the 5th, 2nd fret, F sharp, G, which is the 3rd fret, so it goes 5, 3, 5, 2, 3, 5, 3, 5, 2, 3, 5, 3, 5, 2, 3, does that 3 times, and then we hit into, which would be 5, 3, 2, 3, 2, or A, G, F sharp, G, F sharp. After doing that entire cycle twice, we hit an E chord, very staccato, and then the other rhythm guitar, while the main riff plays, is just hitting an E, while the other guitar plays the main riff. So just a little thing to keep in mind there. Now let's go a little deeper on the chorus section. So the right hand, I think, is especially important here because you're actually adding some ghost notes in between the notes that you're playing, or the chords that you're playing. And we're going like this. So if you kind of do like a mute in between every note, except for the last 2. The last 2 you're going to let slide on the ice, right? You're going to go down, 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 down. So if you take a look at that, I know it sounds kind of stupid when you're just playing it like that, but that's how simply you have to break things down. When you're looking to play a riff the correct way, you have to break it down to the fundamental basis of what it is, right? And that could just be a bunch of clicks with the right hand, right? Because that's exactly what it is. And what's happening here is I'm going down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, up, down, down. So if you can remember that down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, up, down, down, then you're going to be all right. So after the second chorus section, we have the solo rhythm. Okay? Now, The solo itself is technically in the key of E minor, but we never see an E throughout the entire section. So that implies that we're engaging in some sort of modal activity. Modes, okay? So the progression goes like this. C, B, C, F sharp, G. C, B, C, F sharp, G. That's the first half. So let's take a look at that in relation to E minor. So we're hitting the flat 6 chord C, the 5 chord B, back to the flat 6. And then we're going to the 2 chord. But, you know, since we're playing all power chords, we're adding a C sharp into the mix there. A C sharp isn't actually in the key of E minor. And then to a G. Okay, so 6, 5, 6, 2, 3. Now typically in an E minor scale, the 2 chord is a diminished chord, which really, if we were in the key of E minor proper, it would sound like this. But that just sounds stupid. Nobody wants to play that. Nobody wants to hear you playing that. So you know what? Just play a power chord and call it the end of the day, all right? Power chord's the people's chord. Remember that. Now the second half of the solo follows the same 4 chords but in a different order. This time we're starting on G. Okay, so here we're kind of, well, this would be a G Ionian kind of thing, except with that pesky C sharp added in the F sharp power chord, right? So we have G, which is the 3 chord, F sharp, which is the 2 chord, G, 3, C, which is the flat 6, to B, which is the 5. So, and it does that 4 times. So let me play you the solo rhythm in full, okay? So here we go. And then the entire section repeats once again. Now at the very end of the solo, there's actually a little harmony play between the lead guitar and James Hetfield's rhythm guitar, and the bass guitar as well. So I'm going to try to include all 3 of those parts right now. So we have James Hetfield's part, which goes like this. Okay? And Cliff on the bass would be playing this. 7, 5. So what's happening with the rhythm guitar here is it's harmonizing the root note that Cliff is playing on the bass with thirds. Okay, so if Cliff is playing the root E, then D, C, B, G, F sharp, E. James would be harmonizing with the 5th fret of the D, which is a G, the minor 3rd, then 4th fret of the D, which is the major 3rd of the D chord, 2nd fret, which is an E, the major 3rd of the C chord, D sharp, the 1st fret of the D string for the B chord to make a major 5 chord, and then this little lead down, 3, 2, 1, and that's in unison between the guitar and the bass. Ho, 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 ho. Oh, am I excited for this part. This is the first clean section of any Metallica song that has existed thus far, at least in my YouTube universe. So here we get into the first clean part, right? And it follows this type of pattern, right? The bass note is changing E, G, F sharp, F. So it's almost like a slowed down version whom the bell tolls, but we didn't get there yet. While adding this on the top. So here's the actual riff. And it continues to play that 4 more times, 8 in total. So let's take a look harmonically what's happening here. So we're holding down the E minor chord position, okay? And we're starting by picking the E string, A string, G, and the D within that position. Holding down the 2nd fret of the A and the D while picking those 4 strings. That creates a simple E minor chord. The next step, we're going to keep our pointer and middle on the 2nd fret of the A and the D string while moving our ring finger to the 3rd fret of the E string with the same picking pattern. So that creates an E minor over a G. Now that doesn't change the quality or really the name of the chord. It's just an E minor on top of a G bass note. Now the G is the minor 3rd of the E minor chord. You got to remember these types of things because they're going to come back to haunt us, bite us in the ass. So let's check that out. So we got E minor to E minor over G. Not too much change in chord quality. Now here's a tricky one. This next chord, we're going to move our pointer finger from the A string 2nd fret to the E string 2nd fret. And that creates something along the lines of an F sharp minor with a flatted 9th and a flatted 7th on the top. Now the reason why this works, I think, is because it's just playing along with that chromatically descending bass line with the E minor chord, and as long as you keep a lot of notes very similar, you can make any kind of dissonance sound pretty good. Now in this case, a flat 9, that's pretty dissonant. Like that doesn't sound good on its own. You need something else to happen before it or after it to really make sure that it resolves or, you know, is made to be useful. So let's take a look at that here. So we have F sharp, which is, we can consider that the root note, and A, which we'll consider that the minor 3rd, the G, which is the flat 2, and then the E, which is the minor 7. So we can call this an F sharp minor 7 with a flat 9th. There's also other names you could call this. The only other one I might entertain is a D add 2, add 4 over F sharp. In relation to a D, it would be an F sharp, major 3rd, A, which would be the 5th, the G would be the added 4th, and the E would be the added 2. Now, functionally, I don't think that's what's going on, but whatever. It's fun to dream. It's fun to come up with this stuff. Let's take a look at the last chord. Now that's a cool sounding chord. This one actually makes a lot more sense than the previous one. We're starting with an F, 1st fret on the low E, an A, which is open A, an E, 2nd fret of the D, and then an open B. Now that open B really rounds off the riff and it gives it a little more excitement because we're used to just hearing that 4-string cycle the entire way through. And hearing an open B is pretty refreshing. So let's take a look harmonically and theoretically what's going on with that. The F is the flat 2 of the E minor scale, so this is like a Neapolitan function. A Neapolitan chord implies a flatted 2nd. So here we're going with F, which is the root, so that's our 1, A, which is the major 3rd, E, which is the major 7th, and then the B, which is a sharp 11. A sharp 11 is just a fourth, or a sharp fourth up the octave. Okay, so anytime you see an 11, it's a fourth up the octave. So that's F major 7, sharp 11. Very cool sounding chord. And then it cycles back to the beginning again. So let's play this slowly. So we have E minor over G, F sharp minor 7, flat 9, F major 7, sharp 11. Now naturally the clean section can't last that long. It's killable after all. Bye bye clean guitar. Beautiful glassy clean guitar. Anyway, shut the fuck up. Let's get into the next part. So the next section outlines the same chord structure that we were playing before, but it uses a much more compact and distorted way of making it happen. So the riff goes like this. Let me close out with okay, so breaking that down a little bit, we have 4 sets of intervals going on here. That's an E5. Okay, so that represents the E minor of the last section. And then we have this 3rd fret and 2nd fret of the E and A respectively, right? So it's a major 3rd. Then we go to the 2nd fret of the E string, hitting the open A for a minor 3rd, and then F, the 1st fret of the E and the open A, which is a major 3rd. Alright, so in all it's perfect 5th, E to B, major 3rd, G to B, F sharp to A, minor 3rd, F to A, major 3rd, and then repeating. And of course, make sure you dig into those strings real hard. If you're not digging hard enough, you're not going to get down to the gold down at the bottom of Fort Knox, are you? No. You're not going to get anywhere close to that treasure. And then at the end, it just adds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we go into the second solo section, which is based loosely on the verse riff. So let's check that out. So if you were paying attention earlier to the verse riff, this part will be no problem. So it starts the same way on the verse riff as it does with the solo. So we go A, C, B, G, G. And then we do it again. A, C, B, G, G. A, C, B, G, G. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a C, B, G, G, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a stop. Alright, let's go over the outro of the song. Not really too much happening here. We play the chorus section instrumentally one more time beyond the lyrics. So it's going to go like this. And then we're going to hold these chords out. E to B, 2nd fret of the A, then G, do, 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 and E. And you want to be real hard on that, you want to spaz out. We haven't had a spasm in a little while, have we? But now we're bringing it back. We're going to let it hold out a little bit, let it feed back. And then very tightly, we're going to do this. Alright, so let's look at that last part. Now this time we're not playing the riff exactly the same as we were before. It's the same as the chorus, the end of the chorus, but what we're going to do is play these perfect fourth intervals in between with an E palm mute underneath. So we're going to palm mute the E, hit the seventh on the A and the D, palm mute again, hit the fifth on the A and the D, another perfect fourth, another open palm mute, fourth fret on the A and the D, then the fifth, fourth, and an open E power chord. Now in total, all that's happening there is it's just emulating that final part of the chorus. It's going A, G, F sharp, G, F sharp, E.